All right, so welcome to our December Balance of State CoC HMIS users meeting. This is the last meeting of 2021 for our HMIS users, and may even be your last meeting or training, depending on holiday schedules. Happy to have you here. We are using Zoom as usual, so please feel free to use chat to say hi. Unmute yourself if you have a question or a comment, or you can use chat. Want to hear what you are facing, and if you have any questions as we do this. All right. Yes. Okay. So looking at our agenda today, we are excuse me. We've got a couple different updates for the system. We want to check in on moving on assistance, do a little review there for our PSH providers because it's very new. We want to give you a heads up about ART planned downtime and look into our federal reporting season. We're, I don't know, maybe a third of the way through. So we've been doing lots of work and want to review that. In terms of how can we help? We've got some reminders about emergency housing vouchers. Hopefully those referrals are speeding up, maybe those are increasing. I want to show you how you record that in HMIS. We've got a lot of resources on our website, and I think this kind of end of year time is a good time to make sure we know where all those resources are. We've got, a chat about where to find the recording afterwards, so we'll go over that as well. And then there is a new report we want to highlight for folks working with unsheltered clients. Lastly, we'll look at what's next with our seasonal look at winter beds, our learning management system launch, see how that's going, and just a look at the calendar moving forward. All right, and if you have any other data HMIS questions, we'd love to demo or troubleshoot anything at the end, but feel free to ask questions throughout and share your experience. All right, so system updates and things are moving. So hopefully clients are moving on, but also the question for move on assistance has moved. So for permanent supportive housing projects, you have a new data element. You actually have 3 new data elements from the October data standards, but one of those was moving on assistance, and that has, the location has changed. So that is now going to be recorded in service transactions. We do have a basic training video on how to record service transactions, but we also are going to go over that briefly now. You may remember that moving on assistance was defined by these 5 different categories. So subsidized housing application, financial assistance, non-financial assistance, housing referral, and other. I want to emphasize, whenever you see other, try to use the other options first. Other is not descriptive. It gives us no real detail on what happened. So if you can, if your services fit into those other 4 options, please do select those. Now, what this table is really focusing on is lining up or crosswalking the service for moving on that was provided, which is this left-hand side. These are HUD's categories. And then how we actually record that in HMIS through service transactions, which is that center and right column. So in HMIS, we'll be selecting benefits assistance, rental deposit assistance, etc., in order to record our moving on assistance. And then remember that this is for heads of households only, and you record this whenever it occurs. So the nature of this element is kind of defined by the types of services. So as you're helping clients move on, are you providing these services? If so, record them in HMIS. Again, this is CoC funded permanent supportive housing projects. Any questions about that? I know, I don't know if folks have had a lot of move-ons in the last 3 months, but all right, we'll keep going. So just a quick review on where to find this move-on element now, this question. It's going to be in service transactions, and the big thing to remember for service transactions is it's in a whole tab to itself. So normally we're working with a client on the client information tab. We do our entries and exits there. We do our ROIs, our households. We're going to go to a different tab here for service transactions and select add service. When you select add service, there's a couple key questions to respond to. First off, make sure your head of household is selected as the primary client. This is only for heads of households, so you can do one of these for each household. No need to select Ben in this example. Make sure your enter data as is correct. So your provider should already pop up there. I was just shadowing our friends at Partners when I took this screenshot. And for the start date and end date, that's going to be a one-day service. If that is something that's being provided for like a whole month, use the end date for the end of that month. But I think for moving on assistance, I haven't heard of kind of those ongoing support. So usually that's going to be a one-time service. And then you'll use the service type dropdown here to select the service transaction that you need. Here we've selected rental deposit. Now what we've done is gone through all of our permanent supportive housing projects and added the key service descriptions, those codes, to this dropdown for everyone. If you don't find what you need, maybe you're using that other moving on assistance type, you can go to look up and search through like just a search pop-up for something else, but we have tried to give you the standard moving on assistance responses in your dropdowns. So if you don't see that, please let us know. When you click Save and Continue, you'll get to some more detail. And from here, you'll actually see this moving on assistance drop down. And that is where we're going to respond with our HUD options for application assistance, financial assistance, etc. So you want to make sure that your service type and your moving on assistance correspond, that these are related according to the table that we just showed. You want them to make sense, right? So let's take a look at that table one more time. This is, again, included in the slides for your reference. I think, according to our system data, we've got 5 move-ons per month in balance of state usually, so this might not occur too frequently, although we hope it occurs more frequently with some of the additional resources we have. But you can use this crosswalk to reference when you need to record these service transactions. Yeah, so all of these service descriptions are in your dropdown for service transactions. Back in here, what we showed you for the move-on assistance is the bulk of what you need to do. So there are some other things here in service transactions that you can skip. You can skip service costs, apply funds for service, conditional commitments, support documentation, follow-up information. That's not needed for your moving on assistance. What you'll want to do at the bottom is just close out the need. We're only recording the services once the need has been met, so you just record need status as closed, outcome of need as fully met, and save and exit. Okay, any questions about moving on assistance from our PSH providers? All right. Again, the key thing is if you're providing moving on assistance, you should record it in HMIS. All right, next update, we did want to let you know about some ART upgrades. So ART is the reporting tool that's in the upper right-hand corner of our agency admin login. some other folks too. If this is a kind of advanced reporting tool that is not automatically assigned to everyone. If you need an ART license for more advanced reporting, please let us know. But for those of you that do have it, it should be improving soon, which is exciting. You'll see some key things from this announcement is that we'll have more powerful analytics. There will be visualization features. There's going to be some training provided by our software provider, WellSky, but the basic structure is going to be the same, and there won't be issues with different browsers as much. So that's all very exciting promises. I will say that, right? You may have heard, some of you will know of the promises of the CLIC tool that we were hoping for the last 4 years or so. So this is a pivot from our software vendor. That solution, QuickTime, QuickSense, didn't work. And so they're upgrading ART instead. The biggest impact for you all will be that there will be downtime for ART. So ART will not be available for some period of time in February. We'll have more information as we get closer to that, but that will be like a major upgrade, so that has to go down for a second. All right. So we're not making a ton of promises right now, just showing you that this is coming down the line. All right, let's go and check in on our federal HUD reporting season. Just a reminder of our acronyms and our alphabet soup. We have been primarily focused on the longitudinal system analysis data that is being aggregated and reported to produce the annual homelessness assessment report. And this is what is actually delivered to Congress and what they look at to figure out how much money they should give our system. So that is definitely important. Coming up next in terms of the submission timeline is the system performance measures. We've actually already been working on cleaning up that data. So we did a kind of twofer or threefer with our client cleanup. So there may be additional corrections that go out to agencies individually, but in terms of our big bulk cleanup, we are closing that out. System performance measures are important because they are used to give funding to the CoC specifically. So the AHAR, the Annual Homeless Report, that's kind of the homeless system nationally that really is impacted by that. But then our CoC is specifically judged on the system performance measures and OSA to a certain extent. So each of our agencies' data is contributing to the system performance measures and ultimately, how many resources we get, how many permanent housing PSH slots are we getting, right? All right, so that is coming up next, and then the final submission for the season is going to be our housing inventory count and the point in time count. So point in time is January 26th. That's coming up. Just really a few weeks away, 6 weeks or so. So that is coming up, and the housing inventory count will ask about information from that Wednesday as well. We'll do some more review and preparation next month. We want to keep that on the horizon for y'all. So in terms of the big client level corrections that we worked on, let's reflect back on what we did. So we sent out, the data center sent out client level errors or red flags beginning the week of October 4th. You had time to review those corrections, kind of see if corrections were pulling into the reports, and that was all due November 12th. And one of the key things was that we were refreshing the reports periodically in between those two dates. So trying to see if, sometimes we make a correction in the system and it works, and sometimes we make a correction in the system and it doesn't. And so running those reports was really helpful for that. And just a reminder again that the responses that you all were responsible for were to tell us if a correction, an individual client level, that error for that client was corrected in the system. If you made a change as an agency, you couldn't correct it. It was a confirmed missing piece of information or confirmed in another way, or it looks correct when you look at it. So that was a potential report issue. Let me just pause there for a second. Do folks have any comments or feedback about how this process went? I think some of what we've heard is that it was helpful to know what we were anticipating, what we expected from the data center, that we needed a response for each of those client issues, because we have our big list to review, and HUD also will have a list once we submit this information to them that they will ask us about. So that's kind of the framework for this procedure. Any feedback, positive, constructive, for that process? All right. I know we're getting real close to the holidays, and that is either we're trying to get going, go to see our families, or it's really busy, right? So I understand. All right, let's look at what we did. So I do want to take a moment and celebrate all of the hard work that y'all did. We did a lot. You'll see in this pie chart, the yellow is a fix, an active correction that occurred on information that was missing or inaccurate, didn't work in some way. So I mean, that's a lot. 67% of our issues that were flagged were fixed on the report. That's great. And then another 18% or 1,000 issues were confirmed. So we've marked those on our master list. And we will not ask you about those next year, right? So that is also really important. I mean, look at this. This is just tremendous. There were some report issues that we found, the report errors, almost 200 of those. So we flagged those as like, it's something that the way the report is pulling makes it look like an issue, but it's not an issue. So we've got those flagged, and that's really helpful to help support our vendor in improving reports, to support HUD in sorting through what they're actually asking for. Identifying those report errors is some of the really important work from this big review. And we will say there were some that we never heard back about. So about 10% of those we didn't get a response. But I really want to just thank you and congratulate you on those 4,700 client level issues that were addressed. That's tremendous work. That is really important for making sure our data is reliable, we can actually use it. All right. We do hope that, as we implement some new data quality procedures and checkups, that we'll be able to not have such a big, massive effort around this time of the year, because we know that's really hard on you. It takes a lot out of us. So we are trying to kind of meter that out throughout the year more and more. All right, and then the kind of back end of this client level correction phase is our agency check-ins. We need to hear from you about any outstanding individual client level questions that you have. We need you to review your HMIS users and their roles. Is everything up to date? Are there folks that have left that actually need to be reported? How's your funding sources? Are those all accurate? Do you have all the projects you need? And then also to review the bedding unit inventory. We need to be able to confirm that, and this gives us both a head start on the housing inventory count next month, but also is meant to be updated multiple times throughout the year. We've sent out these check-in requests, this checklist, to agencies with projects in street outreach, emergency shelter, transitional housing, rapid rehousing, or permanent supportive housing. So if your agency has one of those projects, you should have received this. And we really want to, if we need a conversation, schedule that conversation between now and like that first week of January. All right. So hopefully those have been going well. Really appreciate your help in that. And again, this will make it easier to complete the reporting over the next few months. Any questions or comments about that? Okay. All right. Well, we are plowing through our content today. So this is our section on how can we help. We do want to give you a reminder about the emergency housing vouchers. So when you exit a household to an emergency housing voucher, this is when the client is actually leased up and moved in, then under your exit data, you're going to use the destination type rental by client with HCV voucher. This stands for Housing Choice Voucher, and while that is not exactly the voucher that folks are using, HUD has recommended that this is the destination to use for our EHV exit. Okay. There's one other place to record the information about the EHV exit, and that is under our coordinated entry event. So when you actually exit the client, the assessment, you click Save and Continue after destination, you get the list of questions, right? And you're going to have your coordinated entry event and record this event. Add this event. So the event has a few different components, as you can see here. There's a date of the referral, the event. The actual event is a referral to emergency housing voucher. That's a specific pick list item here. You're going to identify what housing authority the referral went to. So you're going to use this lookup and search feature to identify that. And then you're going to record the referral result. So our housing authorities are not generally in HMIS. When you exit a client for an emergency housing voucher, you're going to actually close out the event with a referral result. No need to record this event until you know the result, right? So you should know whether or not that was successful, the client accepted, or something went wrong. Yeah, so any questions about coordinated entry event for here? All right, you might not have used coordinated entry event yet, depending on your role at the agency, so do keep an eye out for that on your exit assessment. All right, and PSH projects may offer aftercare for up to 6 months after the exit. This really isn't considered part of the PSH enrollment itself. It's not that financial assistance. Sorry, you're not delivering that financial assistance. So please reach out to us to talk about how to set up the tracking and what you need for the tracking for that aftercare. We want to make sure that there's a plan that works for you. So please write to Help Desk to help talk through the specifics around what you want to track. All right, so a review of the website. We want to make sure that you have some highlights. Oh, excuse me. So on the website, if you go to ncceh.org/HMIS/data center, you'll see this menu here. And there's a few different menus, right? So the key ones that I want to highlight are the administrative, the training and knowledge, client consent, and news archive. The administrative has important documents like your ROIs, your privacy docs, a copy of the user agreement if you're not sure what you've agreed to, and also data collection forms. The training and knowledge page has all of our guides. So if we've made a PDF guide, it's on there under your other resources and guides. There's also the standard trainings, which you may want to return to if you're not sure about a particular process. So this is a rich page as well. Client consent is something that is meant to be client-facing to help explain the consent and privacy and security structure of our site. And then news archive is where we post these meetings. So all the presentations and recordings are posted to the news archive after the meeting. Do give me a couple minutes for the video to process. So I will say it can take a couple minutes to get that up there. The news archive also has the big email blasts that we do. So if you're just starting, the news archive is a great place to check out the last couple months of updates that have occurred and kind of familiarize yourself with what's been happening, what's been changing. All right, another update to try to help y'all is a unsheltered contact information report. This report has been built to help you follow up with unsheltered clients and identify contact information for them. Contact information isn't required in HMIS, but it's highly encouraged. On your client profile tab, there's a section there for client contact information. We can take a look at that after if you need that. And in art, we've got this report under the HMIS at NCCH Gallery B5, and this will show you all the contact information for folks with the most recent living situation listed as on the streets, a place not meant for habitation. So if their most recent current living situation says that, then they're pulled into this report and you can see the phone numbers, see the frequent location, is there a corner where they usually hang out, all of that information. I've got some instructions here to reference. You're going to either run or schedule the report. You're going to select your providers, or if you want to use a reporting group, you can use that. Maybe a CE reporting group if you're a CE lead. Yeah, just to, again, confirm, how does this pull data? This is really about finding your current living situation clients that are set to unsheltered, set to place not meant for habitation, and this specifically pulls heads of households so that you just get one result per household. And then it also includes that contact information. All right, there's a couple different tabs. The first one just has your individual client information in alphabetical order. And then the additional details tab provides your prompts so you can do any troubleshooting if you're not seeing exactly what you think you should. I do want to just really emphasize here, this is a report that contains personally identifying information. So extractions from HMIS must follow our file storage protocol. Delete the report, delete the names from the report after use, and delete the file itself. Do not, print this out and leave it in an open location. We do want to make sure that this is protected, and if you need to send this file somewhere, make sure it's password protected. All right, and then here's just a look at the file here. I just made stars or X's to block out the identifying information, but you can see the alpha tab has the client ID, last name, first name, their most recent contact information date, so when was this contact information confirmed, phone numbers, emails, and there's also the text box for other location if it's like, you know, you can find this person at the soup kitchen on Tuesdays or something like that. All right. Any other questions about that information? Okay. I'm seeing a couple chats here about getting emails of this this meeting. I want to check in on that. If you can give some feedback via chat, is it helpful to have the recording and the presentation sent, emailed to you, in addition to posting it publicly? Would love to see if that is something that we should be doing and would be helpful to you. I don't want to just spam you if that's not always helpful. But I can send this to specific folks for sure. All right, so looking forward to the season, it's getting cold. You may have winter beds. Please ask yourselves these questions as you're setting those up. You know, are there new beds? If there are, then we need to think about how data is collected and entered into HMIS for them. Does that mean that we need a separate project? Or do you have different outcomes that you're looking for with your seasonal winter beds, you know, over a kind of annual traditional facility-based shelter, for example? And then also think about what the funding is being used for these beds. That's really important and helps us determine if you need a new project or not. A really critical consideration for HMIS is how long the beds will be in operation. There's been a lot of different changes, particularly because of the pandemic. Some beds are you know, being continuous when they used to be just specific to temperature. This changes the setup for the project and actually sometimes forces us to create a new project depending on the answer to this question. So we really do want you to think about, okay, is this a kind of ad hoc, this is an irregular occurrence where the beds are only available if the temperature is a certain level? Is this available between December and March, you know, continuously? Or is this really related to the pandemic? These are all really important considerations. All right, another thing about what's next is hopefully you received an email with this icon. Our new training system is here. We've launched it for our active users. And we want to encourage you to bookmark your this website, https://www.icatraining.org. This is a secure site, so just know to use that HTTPS in front of that. This is going to help us have some better tracking for our new user and annual requirements. It's going to help increase capacity so that we can update trainings for important information. I know that's definitely been on our minds as a need, something that needs to happen more often. And so we've got some training set up now. We're going to launch the new user trainings later in 2022. So what's happening right now? There's an orientation video, a Start Here course, to help you understand how the system works. So it walks you through those steps for how to complete a course. And then there's two kind of substantive courses that we need you to complete: the annual privacy training and the 2022 data standards training. And I will say that we did training on the data standards back in September. So it's the same content. We just need to check that you understand that you have reviewed that. And all of this will be due January 7th. So that's 3 Fridays from now. This shouldn't take too long, particularly if you know, you're not necessarily watching the whole training on the data standards, because we already took that. Hopefully this is a pretty efficient process, but we are approximately halfway through the time period we've allotted. So we launched this, I think, December 2nd. And it appears that we've got about 12% of users have completed 1 or 2 courses. So it's not due yet, right? But just want to let you know this is coming due, and not having completed this annual requirement by January 7th means that your license may get removed or turned off. So we don't want you to lose access to HMIS. Complete these requirements. Do let us know if you have any problems, and yeah, good luck. I've got a question in chat for the last slide about the beds. Like, is it if beds are only available during the pandemic? And I agree, Andy. It does seem like trying to think about the pandemic being over is not really realistic at this point, right? So I hear that. I think the some beds have kind of been temporarily moved because of the pandemic for distancing, and so that just might be a characteristic of the beds, and might be a reason why certain beds exist now versus in the past. Yeah. I agree. So getting some feedback too about the annual training, and trying to do that at a different time of year. Absolutely. Understand that. Yeah, thank you. We will definitely be thinking about when the season for annual requirements should occur. And I agree that this is a really busy time, so thanks for that feedback. For the ICA website, do we sign in as a guest and request the HMIS training? No, so you should have been emailed from an address, icatraining.org, your username and a temporary password. That should have been sent to you on December 2nd. And if it wasn't, then contact the help desk and we can help troubleshoot. So everyone has a unique login, and so we've taken your information, all the active folks from that beginning of December time, and loaded you into the system. So that should help. I'm hearing in the chat that you got an email, but the link didn't work, is what I think you're saying. And I have seen that a few folks, maybe with different security settings from their company, have had some problems accessing the site. It's like a new site, I think, and so we recommend, if you have issues with the link working, try this link here, the HTTPS link. That should, and the link didn't work. Okay. Yep. So we're aware that there have been some security issues from different providers. What's weird is that it has worked for some folks, so it's not a universal thing. So if this website doesn't work, I just put it in the chat, then let us know. But if you use https://www, that has been kind of a good workaround. It's, for some reason, the button in the email itself has had some sort of technical issue. Browsers haven't recognized it. So, oh gosh, and I put in the wrong address. So I put that third W in there. So give that a go. And you know, if you can't find that email with your temporary password, you can go there and select forgot password to get that sent to you as well. We have the email that you use to, you know, sign up and activate your license with, so that should work. If you did get that email and the link didn't work and you're still having problems, please reach out. All right, there is another kind of quirk in the system that we want to let you know about. Do want to let you know that passing quizzes, you do need to click submit a couple times. And so this is kind of an example of what that looks like. So, you know, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. So first, you're going to have the last question of your quiz, and you're going to click finish attempt. Cool. Then it's going to show you that you answered all the questions. And I hear you. You're like, yes, I just did this quiz. Of course, I saved all my answers. This is great. This allows you to review the questions. If you want to go back, you can click return to attempt and fix an answer. But usually you won't want to. So click submit all and finish. And a pop-up will appear that says once you submit, you can't change your answers anymore. So you'll hit submit all and finish one more time. So just submit and finish, submit and finish, submit and finish. All right. And I've got a note in chat that the email that helps you reset your password if you use the forget password feature, that comes from a different email address than the initial email letting you know about your username. So that's a really good flag. Thanks, Sandy, for that. So that email address is in the chat if you need to mark that as a safe email. And again, if you are having these issues, please let us know. Kind of we can help troubleshoot from within the system individually for you if we need to do, you know, a quick call or even just send you. I think we can send you a link. This is a new system, so we are learning, and really appreciate your help in solving some of these initial issues. Awesome. If folks have any other advice about getting access to this, please feel free to chat or unmute. Definitely want to hear how that's going. All right. So let's take a look at the calendar and what's coming up. So we've already passed our deadline for those client level corrections. We're working on our check-ins for some of that administrative information. I do want to highlight that this week we had a street outreach training. The recording is available on the event page. We do have another recording and slides posted to our training and knowledge page, so there's an equivalent there too. Our annual privacy and new data standards quizzes are due January 7th. Excuse me, and our next user meeting is January 20th. That is right before the point in time count. So we will have definitely some information there, but we'll be emailing you information about the PIT and the HIC ahead of that. If you can do attend that that meeting on the 20th. Again, this is our third Thursday at 1 p.m. Because we will have those PIT-HIC specifics there and want to get your questions. We are going to try to get through PIT-HIC from an HMIS perspective early in February. So stay tuned for some deadlines and steps around that, but that will be early February. And it's one reason we want to finish our privacy and standards quizzes as soon as possible. So, all right. Any other questions or comments, please reach out to our help desk, hmis@ncceh.org. And if there's any other questions, I can take them now. All right. And just a little link here then, our street outreach training is posted to the event there, so I just popped that link in there. All right, well, I really hope that you'll are able to take a second, breathe in, breathe out. 2021, this year has not necessarily gone as we all expected. But we are definitely making it through together. So I really appreciate everyone here. All of the work you're doing in the community is you know, as always, essential, super important. You make us proud, and we want to make sure to be here to support you and keeping your work client focused. So if we can make this easier, please do let us know. We really appreciate the feedback today about schedules and access and all of that. Really do appreciate that. All right, well, that about wraps it up for 2021. So if you have any other questions or want to troubleshoot something, I'll stay on the line here, but we'll end the recording now. Thanks, guys.